is Leroy? You said Leroy's up?
We got Leroy, and nobody knows how effective Bradley Chubb could be on the Dolphins than the man who lives in Miami himself, the one and only Leroy Horde.
Leroy, the Dolphins are 5-0 in the games Tua plays start to finish. Are you all in on Tua, by the way, heading into this matchup next week before we get back to the Browns?
I've always been.
Okay.
Here's the deal. There's a couple of things that you don't just lose, okay? How can a guy who had exceptional arm strength, very accurate, all of a sudden get into the league and nobody ever, his arm is shot, he can't do this. You don't just lose those things that quick in the NFL. A lot of it has to do with he was thrust into action and he wasn't strong enough yet. He had just gotten off a hip. Then he got hurt again because he had no protection.
Yep.
The coach didn't have any faith in him, which is ironic because I think Brian Flores is a hell of a coach. My biggest pet peeve with him was this. How you going to be a second-year coach and trash a young player when you in the same damn spot he in?
Yep.
You see? And I always had a problem with that. I always have a problem when these teams draft players. That player didn't ask to come here. It's your job to make it work. You brought him here.
Yep.
So why wouldn't you give him the ultimate support? The ultimate support just to see if it's going to work because you selected him. We give up on players way too quick without understanding. Like, first of all, coaches going to make mistakes too. Like, it's one thing to be sitting next to the head coach and say what you would do. It's another thing to have them 30 seconds to make game decisions on your own. And some coaches stumble through that for a while. So I'm always a little, lenient on those things because I understand how difficult that is. You don't know how many times we go into a huddle and we got to look over to the sideline with 15 seconds left and wonder what the play is because the coach still trying to figure out what play to call. They all do it. It happens all the time.
By the way, guys, that now that Tua's looking like the real deal this year, that 2020 draft in terms of quarterbacks, Burrow, Herbert, Tua, I mean, my gosh.
That do look good. I didn't even think about it like that.
So, you think all the talk was about the, Baker's class, which was what, 18? 18, yeah.
And then last year's class with 5 quarterbacks in the first round.
But
and
last year's class looks like trash. The 18 class obviously has Lamar.
Who class had 5?
Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson. I mean, Justin Fields is looking better, but he's not, blowing the world.
None of those guys look particularly good.
Who was the last
No, they're
one?
all. There's 5. There's 5 in the first round.
I can't remember.
Trey Lance.
And Trey Lance.
Trey
and none of them look particularly great. The 18 class,
was this
obviously.
last year? Wasn't it Malik Willis?
No, that was 2
No, he's
years.
This year.
year.
No, Malik Willis was this year.
Oh, yeah, this year,
Yeah, but the 2018 class right now looks, well, not right now. It's over.
Josh Allen.
It's Lamar and Josh Allen.
Yeah.
It was 5, but only 2 of them panned out.
Yeah.
The other 3 suck.
And think about here's what you need to understand. Going into that draft, the nonsense that was talked about Lamar Jackson, who since has an MVP, and if not for his team, would have more success. Right? Because they almost put him in positions not to win, but to see if he can do it. Right? That's what they do. They put him in these difficult situations. It's almost like they're testing him to see if he can do it. And he always comes through. If not for Lamar Jackson, that team would be terrible.
I agree. Yeah.
And for some reason, there is no bigger case study than to show what warrants getting big money than Lamar Jackson. Because without Lamar Jackson, Baltimore is garbage.
I don't disagree.
I'll just tell you.
Leroy, do you think if he had an agent, he'd be signed already?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
I think
because
I think his agent would have did him a disservice.
You think so?
Yeah, because they would have been like, Russell's getting this, and who else signed the deal this offseason? Kyler Murray.
Deshaun Watson?
Deshaun Watson.
Right.
I mean, you got to look at it. If you look at Deshaun Watson, who he hasn't won an MVP.
I think Deshaun's better than Lamar Jackson, personally. I mean, I know he hasn't played in a while. But
That's fine, but
here's what I would say about that.
MVP
that means
I hear you. But he hasn't. I love Lamar, but he hasn't played at an MVP level since that season. He's been good, but he hasn't played like an MVP. I don't think.
Here's what you have to understand.
Yeah.
Okay. We always like to take quarterbacks and put them in different situations to see how they would compare to the quarterback you have. Right? Mm-hmm. And I know this for a fact. Or I don't know it for a fact, but I could probably take Lamar Jackson and put him in Deshaun Watson's situation and he'd be successful.
Yep.
But I don't know if I can put Deshaun Watson in Lamar Jackson's circumstances and he'd be just as effective.
But Leroy, Lamar's not as good a passer as Deshaun, though.
But again, you're taking a portion of the game. I give you another perfect example.
Yeah.
You know, everybody got offended when Tyreek Hill said Tua's one of the most accurate quarterbacks or the most accurate quarterback I ever played with.
That was a fact.
Everybody thought that was a knock on Patrick Mahomes. But you can excel at a certain skill. It doesn't make you a better player. And that's what we need to lose. We need to lose that thought. So you're going to take and say Lamar Jackson can't throw as well as Deshaun Watson.
Right.
Is it safe for me to say Deshaun Watson can't run like Lamar Jackson? So how does that work out?
I agree with you, and I like Lamar, and I would pay him if I were Baltimore. But if you ask me if I'm starting a team, if I had to choose between the two, I'm not saying it's like by miles, but I would choose, take the off-the-field stuff out of it. If it's just about on the field.
We're talking about football players.
As a football player, I would take Deshaun Watson over Lamar. How about you guys?
My vote doesn't count, but I'm with Bull. I would take Watson over Lamar.
I probably would take him. I would probably take Deshaun Watson, but to me, it's a toss-up. It's a preference thing.
I think it is a preference thing, too.
Here's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
We're trying to take two different skill sets and compare them.
That's true.
And it becomes difficult
because
there's no real way of doing it other than saying this. Lamar Jackson might not be as good of a thrower as Deshaun Watson, but we all know Deshaun Watson is not as dynamic outside the pocket as Lamar Jackson. So how do you compare those two things?
It's hard.
You compare these two things like this. Here's how you compare. We all make the assumption that the quarterback that's great outside of the pocket can't do that forever. Whereas the pure passer can do it for a longer period of time. What happens when Deshaun Watson loses his athletic ability? Right? You don't ever have to worry about that with Deshaun Watson. Not that, he's not an athletic person.
Yeah.
But that's not the number one aspect of his game.
Right. One thing I would say, Leroy, to back you up on this, in terms of Lamar, and I'll admit that I've watched a ton of Lamar because in my Keeper League fantasy team, I had him 4 years in a row. So I was watching him all the time. He helped me win 2 championships in 4 years, baby. So I watch Lamar all the time. And what Lamar does better than the running quarterbacks that came before him, in my opinion, is he almost all the time, obviously it's going to happen sometimes, he avoids the big hit, I think, more than any running quarterback we've ever seen. He'll get out of bounds. He'll slide. He is extremely, I think, it seems to me, that he is extremely aware of avoiding that big hit. Do you think that's correct?
Yeah,
no?
I think the other thing is that he throws the ball more than those other guys.
Well, that's true too.
So
yeah, sure.
He's willing to still keep his head downfield when a lot of running quarterbacks, once they decide to run, it's over.
That's
right?
true.
So
yeah.
Now, see, and this is the thing, that if you're looking at these numbers,
what were those numbers
you see
from,
60,
by the way?
I don't know.
Last full season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that wasn't. You taking.
You took Lamar's worst season. That's not.
Well, it was his last season he played, and Deshaun's last season he played.
Yeah.
All right. And he was hurt. right? Hence all those picks.
All right, Leroy. Let's
yes, sir.
Let's shift gears to the Browns.
Yeah.
What is it?
Hey.
What did you take away from the game Monday?
Two things. The first thing I tweeted out after like 3 running plays. Please, Browns, don't abandon the run because you didn't have early success.
Yep.
Please. I say thank you. Have a nice day. Right? And
I gotta go look
then
it
when they
up.
got in the red
I gotta
zone,
look the tweet up.
He did. I can confirm. We'll throw it on tag board. Give us 1 second.
I said, please, let's get Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt going downhill in the red zone. By the way, the Browns are great at putting the ball in the end zone on the ground in the red zone. People think that that's just, no. That is a skill. You got a whole bunch of people, and who's the backup center, 66?
Poachich.
Poachich is like, I don't know where they got this man from.
Is that 66?
The starting center who was supposed to be a backup at the beginning of the year?
No. Who was 66 they brought into the game when they went to that?
James Hudson.
James, he's going to be their starting right tackle next year.
What? He lit old boy up.
See,
Yeah,
and that's dangerous.
I got all I saw that play. I got all tingly. I was like,
You know where they got that
get
from?
him, big fella.
You know they got that
Get
from.
him.
You know they got
Hey.
that from San Francisco where they made Trent
Yep.
Williams do that.
They had 8
As Emmitt
offensive
Smith would
linemen on the
say-
field on that play.
As
8.
as Emmitt Smith would say, he got blowed up.
Man, look.
Dear
man.
Browns, please don't give up on the run. Thank you, Browns.
And Leroy,
Hey.
on this one, when I saw, somebody asked me the other day. They said, "How you gonna gauge whether the Browns is ready to go?" I said, "I'll know they're ready to go if Kevin Stefanski got my man Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in the same backfield. If I know that they ready to play and they ready to do what they need to do on the ground and they committed to the run because they had them dudes in the backfield at the same time. And actually, they weren't just decoying. They was giving Kareem Hunt touches, legitimate carries. And I was just so disappointed at one time.
Hey, let me ask you this. When you saw Kareem Hunt getting that much run, did you think they was giving him that run to trade him?
Oh, yeah, I knew. I was like, this
I said no.
They run the price up. I said, they driving this stock price up.
Hey, they just washed and waxed that old car, got him on side, put some new rims on him. They're going to sell it tomorrow. You know what? Look, good for them. You know, like, if it didn't work out, you know, as the Browns, you got to say, hey, you think we lost by keeping Kareem Hunt? No. This makes our team better. But to your point, there's a couple of things I look at when I'm looking at the game. One is how many rushes, okay? Forget the amount of yards, because if you have the amount of rushes, that pretty much tells you the story of the game, okay? That you can still be committed at it. If you're down 2 touchdowns, you ain't going to keep running the ball. So how many rushes gives you an idea of where they are, right? The other thing is time of possession. So whenever they play a team like Cincinnati, it's going to come up again in a couple of weeks when you got to face the Dolphins. Shrink the clock on them.
Yep.
You have to. Because you know what? Think about this, guys. The one thing that Cincinnati has done a hell of a job with this year is not protecting Joe Burrow. It's getting the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so while everybody says, ooh, they protect him, they're not protecting him any better. He's just getting rid of the ball and making quicker decisions. Now, when you run the ball and shrink the amount of time he has it, now he thinks he got to make chunk plays. Mm-hmm. Now he thinks he got to hold the ball a little longer. And now you're feeding into what that front seven for Cleveland does. Give us a half a second more, we going to get to you. And that's what happened. because they got a big lead. They couldn't just dink and dunk it and methodically move the ball down the field. They had to get chunk plays, and it put them in a bad spot. That's football. That's the football that Cleveland has to play successfully in order to win. And look, all you're trying to do as of right now is put wins in your pocket, right? We know this ain't what the team is going to be when Deshaun Watson gets here, although Jacoby Brissett played his best game. Mm-hmm. Right? We know. We don't know what this team is going to look like, what they going to what the coaches want to call when Deshaun Watson gets in there. But guess what? They have found a way. And remember, I told you this earlier, and everybody laughed at me. It don't matter who the quarterback is. At this point, it don't matter. Because if you win or lose games, it ain't going to be because of the quarterback. It's going to be how committed you are to the run. Because, look, Amari Cooper, I told you, he's one of the best route runners there is. And you put play action into that? I saw Jacoby slip, drop the ball, pick it up, and still throw it to open Amari Cooper.
He played great. Jacoby played great in this game.
But guess what? That's because he had room.
Yeah.
Right? When you're running the ball, and you can see, I love it. They like little ants, right? They like little ants creeping towards the cupcake. Creeping down because Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt running. They creeping down. And then bam, now you got Amari Cooper singled up. That's football. That's complementary football. And defensively, guess what? Ty, I tell you this. When you got that pass rush, you can jump routes.
Yeah.
Because you know it's coming out quick.
Hey, Leroy, that leads me to my next question. What did you think of them running I think they had Jadeveon sometimes at D tackle, Miles in the middle.
Wait. Hey, Bull, did we not talk about this last week?
Yep.
They said, we don't have pressure up the middle. I say, so do something about it. You got two dominant pass rushers. They don't have to be outside. And then think about this. And this is how football works in every phase. If you put your guy in the same spot every time, right, and you don't move him around, and they game plan that way and beat you, it's because you didn't realize that they're going to make adjustments to what you're doing. Look, here's what I would do. I would take the two guys inside to block the two DNs because they haven't been getting a lot of pressure up the middle, right?
That's a dangerous game.
So you shore that up.
That's a dangerous game. They got to be able to take double teams and defeat double teams at a high rate.
No. Here, the whole point of football is to get your best players in the most favorable situations. Mm-hmm. That's it. Okay? What the hell is a fullback for? He don't need to tote the ball. He blocking for the other guy. Right?
Kyle Juszczyk catches the ball.
Technically, what are the two DNs, the two tackles for? To eat up bodies so the linebackers can make plays.
I totally
it's
agree.
not nothing new.
That.
It's not nothing new, but here's what you do. Who cares what happens to, you want to talk about the offensive line making a call? You know how y'all got that danger call? They might call a timeout if you line up Myles Garrett over the nose. Just because. Coach, we ain't practiced this.
They would have to,
right?
Leroy, they would have to.
Any change in football, people flip out.
You got, I would put it, I love what teams do on third down. I would never give you a pre-snap read. I would never. On third down, I would have people standing up, moving around. You know which gap you got to get to based on the defense. But my whole thing is confusion. I want the center making false calls. I want the quarterback to think you coming. He going to keep a guy in. I want you to act like you're sliding this way. Oh, you don't know where we're going. We're coming off the opposite end. I want them to have to think 60 plays on their toes. And you may be able to do it once. Cool. You may be able to do it twice. But third, fourth, fifth time, somebody gonna come free, and we gonna get home.
You're making a terrible assumption that I'm not going to make. Sometimes the D coordinator, Joe Wood, want to do all that stuff. But he 2 and 3 deep at certain positions. You want to put them guys in that situation? Because guess what? Hey, all you need is one time somebody look to the sideline and say, my bad, I had deep third. And they go to damn right?
We see that 15 times the first few weeks?
Yes, we did.
Yes!
Yeah.
Right. So keep it real.
Yeah.
Keep it real. Like, you know when you get that huddle.
Hey,
Ty, tell me you have not gotten in a huddle one time and they call a blitz or check and you look at somebody next to him and say, ain't no way in hell he gonna get this. you know.
No,
So if you know as a teammate,
I did it,
the
Leroy.
coaches know.
That's one of the scariest. It's one of the scariest positions in the world to be in a huddle. They call the play and you blank out. You're just like, hold on, what do I got on this?
I'm gonna be honest with you. It's been times when they called a blitz, and I said, I know I'm supposed to check out, but I'm running this blitz.
Yeah. Hey,
you better get home. If you do it, you better get home.
Yeah, right. You're right.
And you don't understand how now all that stuff that Ty just talking about, right? Somebody go in motion. Oh my goodness! You want to talk about blitzes? Everybody looking at each other. Do I go? Do you go?
Boy.
And then somebody just say, "Forget it. Cover two. Cover two." And they just. Am I right?
Call it off.
Tell me. Hey,
No.
y'all got to go to coverage no matter what. And the leader of the defense, the guy calling the plays, will look around and go, we ain't got this.
Yeah.
Cover two.
Yeah.
Cover two. And just back it
That's a
out.
fact.
It's a fact, man.
Is that because
Look,
offensive players are smarter than defensive players?
No.
No, I would say this. I would say this. Offensive players are less affected by defensive movement because you can't hide everything on defense. You can line everybody up. You can do all this stuff. But at some point, you know different areas have to be covered and somebody's going to get there. So no matter how much they move, they just window dressing. You know they got to cover the field. Whereas offense, from a defensive standpoint, when the offense moves around, it changes everybody's responsibilities. That's not necessarily true on offense.
That makes the defense actually smarter. That everybody gotta.
No, it doesn't, because y'all don't get it right. That's why we move.
Leroy.
What is wrong with
He's-
him?
I'm just telling you.
What is your
Hey,
beef?
I'm just telling you. Hey, listen. This is me. I'm in the backfield, right? Me and the linebacker looking at each other. I know I'm going to my right. I just look over here, and he'll say, he coming at you. He coming at you. And I'm just thinking, this dude is stupid. And they start sliding over to the left. And and I'm like, wow.
All of that.
Hey, let me tell you what it is.
All right. Hey.
Bush, I'm going to tell you this real quick.
Yeah.
You know what it is? They want so bad to be smart that they start yelling stuff even if it's the wrong thing. If you watch a football game,
a lie.
every defender want to yell, they know what's up.
That's true. That's true.
But here's offense. Offense is like, if we know what you're going to do, we ain't going to sit here and announce it.
Well, you got to make sure everybody on the same page, Leroy.
All right, Gavin, hold on a second. We got a question for you, Leroy. Here we go. Let me tell folks that obviously we want you to subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on YouTube. Make sure you hit the like button. Over 17,000 subscribers, over 17,300 subscribers now. Become a super chatter. Become a member. There's 2 levels of membership, of course. I will be doing our first over the starters tier, just $1.99 a month. And then the coaches tier, which is $4.99 a month. And there's going to be bonus content for the coaches tier, which we will be providing starting today.
First
That's right.
bonus.
First bonus content. And as part of this, we got a super chat question specifically for Leroy. So, Mikey, tell us the question for Leroy.
We do, and anytime we get an internet question, it's brought to us by our good friends at PCC Airfoils. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is the leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio.
Okay.
All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Mentor, Wickliffe, Minerva are hiring for all positions starting $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. This question, Leroy, comes from Donnie. He says, Jacoby Brissett has thrown for over 220 yards in 7 of the 8 games. What do you think the passing game will look like when Watson returns if he isn't rusty?
It should look the same. You know,
Same?
maybe a little. I mean, there might be a couple of throws here and there that Deshaun makes that Jacoby won't, right? But this team is built around running the football. So everything comes off that. If you run the football well, Deshaun Watson ain't gonna throw the ball. Don't mean he's not good. It just means that don't get caught up in Deshaun Watson being back. And then all of a sudden you think you got to be a different team.
Oh, it's gonna happen. Oh, they gonna think.
I know.
Hey, they go. You know it, Leroy. You know. Oh, he gonna throw this ball.
They coming out wide.
Because here's the thing. He comfortable. Now Stefanski is like, oh, I got my new shiny toy. That's like you get a toy on Christmas and the parents say you
gonna
can't
play
open
that
that till
toy?
next week. What?
They're not going to keep that in the garage. But at the very least, they're going to run RPOs, which they can't do right now.
They'll at least do that.
Yeah.
They're definitely going to do
But
that.
But again, okay, but think about this. The RPO is fine. But it's still coming from the same place of your strength.
Right. Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
That's true. That's right.
what I'm saying about, can Deshaun Watson do some different things? Yes. But should they stay true to who they are, it's only going to make all the parties involved better. It's going to make it better for Jacoby. The other thing is, Peoples-Jones has picked up his game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey.
I loved him coming into the year.
And let's not,
I'll give you credit, Bull.
let's not,
I'll give him credit.
I mean, I've been impressed with him going up and getting the ball, his route running.
He catches
Right
everything.
now,
Yep.
I will say this:
Yeah.
they don't really throw the ball deep, and I don't know why that is, because they always seem to. Amari Cooper is very similar to Jarvis Landry, in that they're middle of the field, outcut, sideline guys. Amari Cooper is a better route runner, but they're very similar in that they're going to be a guy you can always go to. Who's going to be that guy to stretch the field? That's the question that I have.
I think DPJ can, but they just haven't used him that
I
way.
think Brandon Cooks is trying to get released so the
Well, he'd
Cleveland
be a
Browns
great
can-
fit.
Oh, shut up. Stop playing with me.
Yeah, but I think that's
Hey,
You see Deshaun
what
Watson.
you know?
You see Deshaun Watson comment on it after he put that tweet out yesterday. So just saying. Don't look at it.
not for nothing. Tell Deshaun put his Twitter thumbs down. Let's leave that alone for a while.
I agree with you, brother.
And you know,
Let's
you
get back to football because
It's time coming back up. You get ready to touch that field. You ready?
Hold on. I got to get an answer from the three guys who played football here. Why is Jedrick Wills wearing a visor that you, what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for?
Visor, yeah.
No, but he's wearing one that like
The
they don't-
tinted one?
The tent.
Why is he wearing a tinted visor for a night game? Can somebody explain that to me?
Well, it doesn't
Yes.
affect the ability.
I would think you can't see.
No, see,
The glare.
to you, it looks tinted, but when you look through it, it's still clear.
It's
Well, that makes
clear.
sense.
Yeah.
All right.
They
hey,
got
what position does he play?
left
Left
tackle.
tackle.
The hell does he need to see?
Right.
Fair enough.
Block the fat guy across from you.
That's
you ain't
right.
like he out there running
Leroy,
go
did you
route.
say that to your offensive lineman? Did you just say that? Block the fat guy in front of you when you played?
Yeah, well, here's the deal. I had an interesting
Clear it up.
relationship with my offensive line because one of them, and Orlando Brown, was big as hell.
Oh man.
Oh my God, he
And-
was big.
Yes, and then we had Tony Jones,
Big.
and then I had one of my best friends, Steve Everett.
Oh yeah.
People
So,
forget
me and
Steve
Steve
Everett
played
was a
in
good
college, so-
center. He's a good center.
Yeah, so I tell you what, it wasn't nobody gonna do nothing to me because Steve was coming. I'm talking about on my team, the other team, anybody. So I say, hey, look, I'm riding it down with that guy.
Were you in Minnesota when they had Corey Stringer?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was. Hey, he was the biggest human being that had feet like a DB. It was amazing.
That's
Quick
unbelievable.
feet. Yeah.
He get in his back pedal.
Yes. Dude, he was so good on his feet. But I'm going to tell y'all a quick little story.
Yeah.
So we were playing the game. We were playing against Green Bay. Now, there's a rule in the NFL. I don't know if y'all familiar with this rule. The rule is don't cut Reggie White.
Oh,
That's
so
it.
that was a thing. Like, hold on, that was
Hey.
an unknown thing. You don't touch Reggie. What?
Unwritten rule.
You
Really?
don't cut him. You don't cut him.
I never knew that.
Hold on. I'm getting to it because Reggie White didn't cuss and he ain't talk bad about folks. In the West Coast offense, you have those quick 3-step drops.
Yep.
And it don't matter who's on the inline scrimmage, you got to get their hands down. So I go out there, throw at his legs, he put his hands down, and we get up, we go back to the huddle, and Corey and the right guard, they staring at me. I'm like, what's up? I said, man, Reggie over there praying. That's never a good sign. Why did you cut him? I said, man, I'm just doing my job. Y'all know you can't cut Reggie. So on the very next play, right, we run another pass play. Corey Stringer drops back. Reggie White does the old hump move.
Oh.
And no lie, there is a picture of Reggie White throwing Corey Stringer with that hump move, and his feet are 1.5 feet off the ground.
He lifted his soul.
Lifted
John
him.
Legend, let's get lifted.
And we get back to the huddle, and everybody's staring at me again. But like it was my
It's all
fault.
your fault. You were to blame.
It's my fault that Reggie White got mad.
Yeah.
'Cause he was talking about, Lord Jesus. He's in the court. And all of his linemen, instead of trying to get their mouthpiece in and get strapped up, they just sitting there looking at me. Like, it's my fault. Like, Reggie was going to play ball until you cut him.
Oh my God, Leroy, you're the best. I think you've told some good stories. I think that's the best one ever. Thank you, Leroy. We'll talk to you next week.
My
All
guy.
right, man.
Hey, man,
Later.
that's
That
crazy.
is